Hello friends, today I want to give you a behind the scenes look at our daily staff meetings, and I also want to introduce you to our dedicated and awesome legal team. These daily staff meetings are essential for fostering teamwork, effectively managing our caseload, and most importantly, to provide the best possible customer service to all of our clients. So stay tuned because you're going to see some of the secret sauce. Welcome back to the Divorce Broadcast. My name is Manny Segarra, coming to you from Miami, Florida. All right, before I jump into the video of our staff meeting, I think it's important to say a couple things, starting with this was one of my absolute favorite episodes to record because I get to show off the fabulous and brilliant team that I work with on a daily basis. I am very blessed to be part of this team. Additionally, I just want to say that every single day our team gathers together in order to discuss the day's priority. This means that we review ongoing cases, we make sure that we are on top of any deadlines, and we make sure that we're all on the same page. These meetings in particular help us all to stay organized and allow us to address any issues before they become bigger problems down the road. Furthermore, our daily staff meetings are not just about organization. They foster a strong sense of teamwork by bringing together different perspectives and different expertise in different areas. We have the ability to provide a very comprehensive and well-rounded representation for our clients. These daily staff meetings are a vital part of how we operate here. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce you to our team and let you see how our staff meetings work. Let's cut to the clip. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manny Segarra. I am the managing partner at Segarra & Associates PA, and today we're going to allow you to peep behind the curtains and see what it is that we do each and every day at our law firm. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our staff meetings. So before I get started on all of that, I want to make sure to introduce you to each and every member of our team. Starting with myself, as I mentioned, I've been practicing law over 20 years, and it really hurts every time that I have to say that. And during those 20 years, I have extensive litigation experience throughout the state of Florida, now specifically in family court. Every week, as all of you may already know, we post a video on the Divorce Broadcast. I know that most of you who watch the channel already know Irech who is here present. She's our associate attorney. And Irech, why don't you go first, introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll go into the rest of the team.
Yes, of course. As you mentioned, my name is Irech. I am originally from Puerto Rico. I was raised in Orlando, Florida, although maybe for almost 10 years I lived in Miami. That's where I started with Segarra & Associates. I have been with the firm for almost 5 years now. And out of those 5 years, 3 of those years, I have been an associate attorney, where I currently represent the firm in Orlando. I focus solely on all family law issues. This includes step-parent adoptions, divorce, paternity issues, which can include child support or custody schedules, and domestic violence. As part of my role as an associate attorney, I work on all the cases, A through Z, and this can include drafting all the court documents, speaking to clients, preparing the clients for court hearings, and also teaching our law clerks who are here today, who are active law students, as they become more comfortable in this legal environment.
Wonderful intro, Irech. Thank you again for joining us from Orlando, Florida. We love having you here. Up next, our most senior member of the team, Miss Lisa Leon. Why don't you give a quick bio of yourself, Lisa?
Made me feel so old saying the senior member.
That means that you've been there the longest, but go ahead.
So my name is Lisa Leon. I've been here for 6 years. I was born and raised in Miami. And pretty much my role here is I do a lot of coordinating, whether it's court hearings, client meetings, meetings with other attorneys, experts, scheduling consultations, as well as organizing and office logistics.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Lisa. Up next, we have 2 law clerks currently working on the team. The first of which is from the University of Miami, Miss Karina Estrada. Why don't you introduce yourself, Karina?
Thanks for the introduction, Manny. So my name is Karina Estrada. I'm from Immokalee, Florida. I started working at Segarra & Associates mid to late December 2023. I am now coming into my 3rd year as a law student. And most of my tasks mostly include helping the assistants. Most of the common things I usually drop are subpoenas, disestecums, assisting with agreed orders, and things of that nature.
Thank you. Karina, you're natural. Up next, from the University of Tulane, all the way in New Orleans, as they like to say, we have Miss Andrea Torres.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Manny. My name is Andrea, and like he mentioned, I am studying currently at Tulane University. However, I am a Miami native. I was born and raised here. I've been with Segarra and Associates since around December of last year. However, I've learned a lot since then. A lot of that knowledge helps me with my daily tasks, which includes talking to clients, working on legal research, putting together legal documents, working with discoveries, a lot of stuff. And yes, it's been great, and we're a great team.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Let's start with Lisa, because whenever we do our task meeting, Lisa Leon, you know that you are the first one that is on deck. So before we get into some of the specifics, talk a little bit more about your job responsibilities here at the firm. I know that you are a jack of all trades, or I guess a Jill of all trades, so to speak, and that you do a lot for the team. So lay it on us. Tell us some of the stuff that you do.
Well, in court related stuff, I do a lot of scheduling. So whether if it's scheduling, different motions, getting in contact with different judges, the clerk's office, experts, clients, I pretty much have to coordinate all of that. And I also assist with organizing. So pretty much if there's any discovery that has come in, I have to organize that in a certain way.
What are some of the challenges that you have encountered throughout your 6 years, and how has scheduling changed during your tenure here?
So scheduling has gotten, from when I started, it's actually gotten a lot easier. I remember before when I started, we used to have to call, whether if it's a chambers, and we have to get another side on the phone. And if there's multiple parties, you have to get everyone on the phone. So it'll be like 3, 4, 5 different people sometimes on the phone, just coordinating one thing. And now, depending on the county, it's actually gotten more simpler. Some counties, they have the judges' availabilities online, or sometimes they even rather do it via email when you can tag everyone in there. In reference to clients, it's actually gotten it's easy too. We either contact via email or we just call them via phone.
Let's talk about clients, because a lot of the times the clients, you're taking some messages from them. Are the rumors true that Irech, myself, Karina, and Andrea, we always check our messages and we receive our messages? Because sometimes people think that we don't receive them, but we do, don't we?
Yes, you do.
Thank you for clarifying that. What about in terms of the intake forms? Is that something that you do as well?
Yes, so I do client intakes. Whenever we get new clients, I send out an intake form, and I always make sure that it gets filled out. And the intake forms are actually very beneficial because it gives us more into an insight to what's going on with the person, and also ruling out conflict.
How about recently, since the pandemic, have you noticed that there's been a change in people wanting to either have in-person consultations versus Zoom consultations? Has there been any type of increase in either or?
A lot more people now they like doing it more via Zoom because it's more flexible for them, because instead of them having to come, depending on where they're at, instead of them having to come all the way to our office to do it in person, they could just pretty much, like, if they're at work and they want to take a lunch break and they want to do whatever meeting they want to have without having to miss work, they can do that. So it's been more on the Zoom side, but some people do still like the face-to-face interaction.
So it kind of depends on the person.
Yes.
Okay. What about discovery? I know that discovery here at this law firm is a big focus of what we do. What is your role with discovery?
So my role with discovery is sending out any deadlines to our clients and making sure that they abide by the deadlines.
So if you had a special request from all of our clients regarding discovery, at least on the front end, what would that request be?
Don't turn in your discovery the day before or the day of.
Yes, that is a problem, because then we can't meet that mandatory disclosure deadline, right?
I always say it's like when you get an assignment for school or when you get like a project, it's never good to procrastinate and leave it at the last minute, because there's always issues that they can't get what it is that we need, or if they're having trouble with it, it's, we give them a pretty decent deadline. So that's something that could definitely be resolved beforehand as opposed to solving it the day before.
Good stuff. All right. So before we move on to our next team member, can you tell the audience, at least from your point of view, what are some of the benefits of having this daily staff meeting that we have here at the law firm?
It keeps everyone more in check as to what's going on. And also, if there's any issues, we can address it as well.
Yes. Good job. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. You know that you are an extremely valued member of this team. We appreciate all of your efforts. And now we're going to move on to Miss Karina Estrada. Karina, tell us some of the things that you do here at the law firm.
Some of the things that I do here at the law firm, apart from assisting Lisa with the phones, is addressing client matters. And one of the most important things, like that was just recently discussed, is discovery. So that's one of the key things we need to do in the law firm in order to get petition paperwork started. And that just begins with getting our clients financial documents, organizing, and assisting the client along the way. So these task meetings are really great, and just understanding when deadlines are and how quickly things need to be addressed from my side of the end and the client side of the end. Apart from that, one of the recent things I've been working on is a mission for guardian ad litem, and these helps both of the parties try to figure out what is the best action plan for the best interest of the minor child.
Good stuff. All right, so let's break it down a little bit. Karina, before you started at the law firm, did you know about Family Law Rule 12.285 mandatory disclosure?
No, not that very well, but no, I know it pretty well.
Okay, so can you explain to the audience what is 12.285 mandatory disclosure when it comes to Florida family law cases?
So 12.285 is essentially a court requirement for all petitions filed in the Florida family courts that requires that the disclosing of financial documents from both parties in relation to their assets and liabilities of the case.
So in your experience at trying to get these disclosures from our clients, what are some of the challenges that you have encountered?
Well, some of the challenges just depends on the client. Some of them don't have very much documents. So that is one of the easier things, though the most challenging part is just at the end of the day, needing to trace what accounts have been open, what accounts have been closed, and statements relating to the periods requested. Most of them date back 12 months. But some of the harder ones are credit card statements or liabilities that date back up to 24 months.
So what are some tips that you may give to clients in order for them to be a little bit more responsive or better at making sure that we're able to comply with our mandatory disclosure deadlines and requirements?
So some of the tips I would say, if you're considering filing a petition, it would be a great idea to start getting your statements saved, writing down any debts you have, and just trying to get in contact and talk to your customer representatives and getting those documents as speedily as you can, and communicating with us as well, whether or not you are able to get those documents.
That sounds like really good advice, and it sounds like you've been dealing with this for a little while now. In terms of motion practice, what are some of the motions that you have assisted either Irech or myself trying to draft on cases?
So apart from the guardian ad litem, the most memorable one is motions for school placement. So determining what location would the child be best suited for was a bit difficult because both parties do live in separate districts. So that's was a bit challenging, but I enjoyed working on the case. And the second thing that I enjoyed drafting was a motion for sale for a marital residence. That was pretty interesting. It dealt with not only some research on what is needed to comply, but it was also interesting in talking to the client and specifying and tailoring to the client's needs.
Okay, so can you talk to the audience some of the benefits, at least that you have seen with regard to these daily staff meetings?
Well, there's so many benefits at the end of the day. And then it's really great to just stay on top of everything and make sure we're addressing clients' needs as they come by. Sometimes there's unexpected things, and these task meetings just helps us stay on top of it and do what is needed to best effectuate a client's needs.
Very well. So, Karina Estrada, are you excited about your third year of law school?
Yes.
You're almost done.
I'm so excited.
We wish you the very best. We're very grateful to have you as part of the team. And thank you so much for sharing on our video regarding staff meetings. Up next, we're going to talk to Miss Andrea Torres about what she's been up to in terms of her internship here at the law firm as well. So Andrea, talk to us about some of the things that you are doing for the law firm, especially during the staff meetings.
Thank you again. So my tasks are very similar to Karina's in the sense that I deal with discovery, putting together legal documents. So I'll try to talk about a couple things that weren't mentioned that I personally have a lot of memories in and experience in as a result. There's a lot of sitting in during client meetings. That's very important within this task. It's listening, especially when it comes to the facts pertaining to the task that we're tackling, whether it be putting together mandatory disclosure or putting together a legal document. It's important to keep it within the realm of the facts of the case. Aside from that, I've even notarized a document at this point. I've put together a discovery for mandatory disclosures, as explained by Karina. Not only just putting together the certificate, but actually going through the documents that are received and tracking down dates and looking at specifics in order to put together charts on Excel to put together a better understanding of a client or the other party's income, for example. A lot of client interaction on a very base level, speaking to them on the phone, all the way from basic consultation requirements and just getting in contact with them on the daily to see what's going on in their case, what's going on in their personal lives. And yeah, in general, a lot of paperwork.
Good stuff. Yes, I see both of you are working extremely hard. I'm going to follow up a little bit about the mandatory disclosure, and I want to talk about some of the other discovery. In terms of mandatory disclosure, you heard Karina's advice to some of the clients here. What about you? What is some of the advice that you would give to someone that has to do mandatory disclosure, at least for our firm?
I would say be as specific. More often than not, the people you are requesting documents from haven't really done this before. So just kind of throwing terms at them such as, okay, we need documents for mandatory disclosure isn't going to cut it. So maybe getting to the specifics such as you have to contact your specific card provider and provide us with these specific dates, and being thorough, not only when you're speaking with them, but also providing them with written instructions as well.
Do we provide them with a list of stuff that they need to give us?
Of course.
That's good. Now, I know Karina probably didn't want to mention this because it was a long one that she had to do, but have you done requests for productions or responses to requests for productions?
I've done a response.
Okay.
Yes.
And how is that a little bit different than mandatory disclosure?
You're not explicitly guiding yourself by the statute. You have to pay attention to what the other party wants, because there might be certain documents that aren't typically covered by the statute that are being covered in this scenario. And it's also a deadline that is particularly more important for how our side of the case looks in terms of the case. So being on top of it is probably more important. I wouldn't know if that's the right way to put it.
That sounds about right. And poor Karina didn't want to mention hers because it was extremely challenging, the one that she had to do. And that's putting it nicely. The last part of discovery that I'm going to ask you about, Andrea, the infamous ROGs, interrogatories. There are standard ROGs, and then you get to add an additional 10. Can you speak to the audience about the ROGs?
Of course, yeah. So there's some standard questions that can be provided to opposing counsel. However, you are granted 10 extra questions that you can design them in a way that is most beneficial to your goals within this case. Language is very important, and specifics as well. You have to find strategies to maybe fit in 3 into 1, for example.
But there's additional 10 because there's some standard ones that are already asked. These are the 10 additional that you're talking about specifically here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, good stuff. Now, before I let you go, benefits of the staff meeting every day.
I think it helps propel the importance of teamwork. So there's a lot of tasks that you're going to have questions about or not really know how to approach in its entirety. And I think the staff meeting is a perfect opportunity to come together and ask the questions you need to ask, because we all are very busy at the end of the day. So having this moment in which we are all listening and all present is very beneficial.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much, Andrea. Now, Irech Colon Morales, all the way from Orlando. Can you tell us what it is that you do every day? And I know you do a million things too. It's like you and Lisa are constantly working. So talk to us.
Yes. It is a blessing that I'm able to do so much in a day. Earlier I mentioned, that I work on cases A through Z, and it is exactly that, right? I have a caseload that includes attending hearings, drafting court pleadings for the clients, attending meetings with the clients, and this can be just discuss the case, discuss next steps, or we also have preparation meetings. So this will be preparation meetings for mediations that have been scheduled, court hearings that have been scheduled, depositions that have been scheduled. And these are ways that we can prepare the client as well as prepare myself to know what it is that we have to focus on for each of these court scheduled matters. Aside from that, a lot of it is also trial preparation. So final hearings will entail more preparation, more discovery, more communications with the client. So a lot of what I do is making sure that we each are aware, and myself aware, of things that we have to tackle on for trial. Oh, it's so much. I mean, even with just court pleadings and court documents, in drafting that, you also have to pay attention as to, once we draft it, what is the next step, right? So part of my role is making sure that we get that motion scheduled with the rest of the team and see what documents or what evidence we will need in support of that.
Sounds good. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about all of that. You actually run some of the team staff meetings, don't you?
Yes. So in our staff meetings, I will run them Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
So if somebody needs to get a hold of you or something on the agenda, they should call you on those particular days. In addition to running the staff meetings, you mentioned that court, a lot of times you go to court. You actually were in court today. How often do you think you go to court per week?
Wow. Lately, I don't know, this year, I feel like I've been going to court at least once a week. And, on a better note, maybe every other or every 3 weeks. It really also depends what type of court hearings they are too, right? So we have motion calendar hearing dates where usually short matters, 5 to 10 minutes, rather having evidentiary hearings that can last as little as 1 hour and as high as 4, 6 hours, depending on the specific issue.
So why are these task meetings so important when you have court approaching?
So for each hearing, we have to be sure that we are prepared and we know what is needed in time for that hearing, right? The first and primarily the most important part is having all the evidence that we would need. So at the staff meeting, one of the things that are really great is that we will discuss any upcoming deadlines for these hearings. We will delegate and recall which member of the team will be in charge of a specific task or discovery that we may need. And this is something that Karina and Andrea focus. Maybe in preparation for a hearing, we will need documents. So we will send out a request for production, or we will send out interrogatories, which at these task meetings, we will delegate, make sure it gets done with enough time to receive everything back before the hearing occurs. That is just one example.
We also set exhibit deadlines, don't we?
And exhibits, correct. So if we need evidence, a lot of times, every county is different, but most of them will have a deadline for a week prior to hearings that the evidence will be due, has to be submitted to the court or submitted to the other side. So these task meetings are great because each task will have a specific deadline or date that we all have to abide by, including myself. One of the things that keeps me accountable, because there's so much emails and calls and things going on each day, it keeps me accountable to recall and remind myself, like, oh, we got to do this. This is something that we need to go ahead and execute and delegate each task to everybody.
We also set meetings for our clients to either prepare for mediation or for trial. We usually are like, hey, Lisa, schedule so-and-so for trial prep or mediation prep. How is that helpful?
It's so helpful. I know a lot of times, Manny, you say this and we tell Lisa the same thing. We have to give clients an appointment. Like if it's a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment, you put it on their calendar. We're all aware of that X date where the client is going to have to be prepared to help us, and we also have to be prepared by that date. And that way we're not scrambling last minute and say, oh God, I have to ask the client this one question, or I need to verify this.
Which is so true. And it's unfortunate. Have you ever experienced situations in which a client may be showing up with an opposing counsel that hasn't either met with the client prior to mediation or trial or hearing? And how's that resulted for them, at least in your experiences?
Yes, it is very sad because there have been court hearings that I have been privy to where I am essentially watching an attorney let the court know, Your Honor, I haven't had that discussion with my client, or I'm not aware of what the current circumstances are, which is a really big no-no because it doesn't help anybody, right? It doesn't help their client. It doesn't help them as a professional. And it also leaves the court without the ability to resolve current issues because of the lack of preparation from the attorney. And even me, myself, there have been moments where I have to show up, right? I have an appointment with our client, and sometimes our clients don't show up. And I don't think that the clients themselves realize how detrimental it is for their case, because this is a special spot that we have dedicated just for them, to give them all the time in the world and myself to prepare for their hearing, their court matter, whatever it is that's coming up in their case.
That's a really good point. One of the frustrating things is when clients don't show up to the prep meeting because we take it so seriously. At our firm, we never go to a hearing without speaking to our client at least ahead of time. That's something that we don't do. How about the clerks? Can you talk to us about whether or not they have an opportunity to go with you and observe you in court and at mediation and whatnot?
Yes, one of the things I am religiously always telling, our law students and law clerks is be there, be present, observe, whether it be mediations, court hearings, depositions, and client meetings, because not only do they get the ability to learn, but they also are presenting their faces, right? So when they become an attorney, the judge may recognize them. As I mentioned before, I've been with the firm about 5 years now. And prior to that, I was a law clerk here at the firm. And I made sure to always appear at every single hearing and mediation. I have mediators today be like, oh my God, I remember when you show up with Manny at mediation. I'm like, yeah. And now I'm an attorney. And, you develop that relationship with all these different court professionals.
So important.
Yeah.
All right. So, Irech, thank you so much for sharing with us. You know how much we cherish having you as part of the team. Before we let everybody go, because we had them take a look behind the curtain, I'm going to go to everybody to see if there's anything that we forgot. Lisa, is there anything that we might have forgotten to mention that either that you do, we do?
I mean, like I said, I do a lot of things here at the office.
You definitely do. It's definitely, Lisa's somebody that you definitely want to be friends with. Karina, how about you?
I do have a mention for the request for documents and discovery related. Just want to add that as much as our office is providing to you and needing your assistance, clients also need to cooperate. So that's the most important thing. So deadlines are met and the client's requests are being fulfilled.
That's a really great point. I know it's tough because I like to compare sometimes to like a speeding ticket. As you ignore it, it becomes more expensive and worse for you, right? All right, good stuff. Andrea, how about you?
I guess I just wanted to highlight a little bit. I think Irech touched on it as well. We really do keep in touch and keep track of everything going on with our clients. It's important to us. We bring it up within our staff meetings as well. If something's come up, even if it's personal or completely detached from the case, it's of importance because we care.
That's wonderful. The one thing I was going to say, Andrea, is your computer didn't freeze this time too, which is usually a tradition at these staff
The
meetings.
power of the Ethernet.
Irech, how about you? Is there anything we might not have mentioned that you would have liked to discuss?
I think the only thing I can say too that's very crucial for the staff meetings is that it gives also everybody in this team to let us know if anything's on fire, right? So if there's a case or a client where maybe it wasn't on fire 3 days ago, but it is on fire that same day, right? It gives Lisa and Karina and Andrea a moment to let us know and bring the issue to our attention so that we can triage that. The trial triage, that's one of the things that we do, right? We have a deadline that's coming up. These are things that are on fire, meaning we need to discuss it as a team, figure out a way to resolve that priority. And I think the staff meeting is a great time to discuss that.
That is a wonderful point. I think it's especially true because of the nature of the law that we practice, which is family law, and it's a fluid situation always. All right. This is our team. We were so grateful to have all of you at least join us on this little tour of what we do. If you know anyone that may find this information helpful or may want to work with this type of team, have them look us up at www.segarralawfirm.com. We have offices in Miami, hence the little background that I have there, as well as Orlando, Florida, where Irech Colon Morales is our flagship attorney. Se habla español. None of us spoke Spanish today, but we all do, at least for now. Please do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to the Divorce Broadcast, and we will all see you soon. Bye. Thank you.